of something that I love about your book, and that is that you seamlessly move between various contexts to help us get into the subject. You seamlessly go between the biblical context, like we've just been talking about, the angels in the Hebrew texts, as well as those in the birth narrative and how that's related. Such great connection. The social and political context of the day, the repeated oppression of the Jewish people and how that figures into this story. You then weave in cultural context from Charlie Brown's Christmas to something very serious like 9/11 and many, many different cultural references. But you also talk about the communal context, the context of our times. You wrote this during this pandemic, and that makes a big difference for how we yearn for some good news. And then you also use personal examples from your life that invite us, to think about our own connections. Because every time I read a personal story of yours, I was able to ask myself, what's my personal story in relationship to this? So it's just beautifully woven. And so thank you for all of that.
Well, and thank you. I'm so glad that you contacted the publisher and that they contacted me, and that we're partnering on this, because I think it's so important. I love the way that you took the story of the angels and that you've woven in the themes of Advent of hope, joy, peace, and love and life into each week of the study, and you've woven that into how that meshes with the angels' messages. And then, of course, as I've looked through the products that you have sent on what your Advent worship preparation is all about, the fact that, as I appreciate that, because I've been a preacher for years, and you're always wondering, like, how am I going to make this come to life? How can I get more people involved in the community? How do I relate this to children? And you've taken care of all of that so that the preacher does not have to worry about anything, which is just amazing to me. If I just here's all of this resource dropped in your lap as to how you can prepare for Advent, and it's just amazing. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And I that's really my call to ministry is helping pastors and worship teams, because, worship is not the only thing they do, in their ministry. And so they're wearing all the hats. And so if I can help with these worship resources and, give you a boost, but I tell you what, the addition of your book to the sermon fodder notes that I wrote, and it's uncanny how we're on the same plane. The addition of your book is just, talk about fodder for preaching. It's all right there. And the context that I talk about, if preachers just look at those things, that's an outline for a sermon right there, right? Biblical, social, political, cultural, communal, and personal contexts. And that's your outline for your sermon. So, it's just such a delight to be resourcing folks and seeing what people do with it, because they adapt it for their own context. And it's just amazing. We get pictures from churches all over. And the anchor image, the main metaphor, I call it, for every series is feathers in this one. Right. And it's just amazing what churches have sent back. Like feathers just kind of dropped in the aisle as if an angel had just passed through, so delightful. An angel decal or mural outside the church so that people can take their pictures with these wings, and throughout the series, we invite people each week to do hashtag more hope, more peace, more, use these hashtags, because that's kind of a fun, like, cultural equivalent. Like angels would have loved hashtags back then.